When Marty Bronstein, a Bay Area-based management consultant, author, and speaker, took a trip to the Netherlands to explore the heritage of his wife, Leah, it was a voyage that changed his life.
It's a story I stumbled into by accident, so nothing I ever expected would happen, and it was on a trip in the Netherlands where it begins in May of 2009. My wife is originally from there, the Netherlands, but they immigrated when she was just shy of 14. So she had not been back in her own homeland for 25 years, and I had never been. So we go on this trip, having a wonderful time for 6 weeks, and we come into this area where she has some curiosities, because it affects her beginnings. And it's through serendipity, we run into the Weinacher family, where we discover much more about the story of their parents, who this story is all about, Franz and Ming Weinacher, two ordinary people who end up doing extraordinary things. So that's kind of the spark, which eventually leads to the story and the journey which I've been on for nearly 3 years of speaking about the story in many places in many cities.
The courage and compassion to do the right thing, that's the theme that resonates with audiences when they hear Marty Bronstein talk about his book, Two Among the Righteous Few, a story of courage in the Holocaust. I think a lot of people are fascinated with stories that came from the period of the Holocaust. And I think it's interesting that we kind of keep finding new families and new things and new people that really played an important role in that time. So you must have been really excited when you came across this story.
Yes, probably my wife would say I was moved, because this is a story of rescue. We don't hear many of those stories out of the Holocaust. We certainly hear about the tragedies, rightfully so. But these are two ordinary people who got involved, and the Netherlands, by the way, is under the occupation of Nazi Germany, which was brutal and miserable for 5 years. Most people aren't going to get involved and do what they did, which is they will help rescue and save the lives of over 2 dozen Jews from certain death. And those consequences were deadly for doing that, and it was illegal.
The two among the righteous few are Franz and Mien, who risked their lives to save others by hiding them in their home during World War II. Marty and Leah are able to locate the home and find that the son of Franz and Mien still lives there.
Ravenstein's the big small town in the area. And what do we see there? A tourist information office. You don't see that in small towns, in the cities.
Right.
So she goes in out of curiosity, and she can still speak Dutch, so I'm just watching. We may have been the only traffic in that place that day anyway. There's 3 office people sitting there, and she's asking them, I know there's a town deed near here. And I know there was an old church that was kind of like a landmark, and next to it was the home of Franz and Ming Weinacher. I know they're not alive, but is that house still there by any chance? She just, let's go see the house. And they perk up, because that name's a notable one. And before we leave, they're even saying, that house is still there, we can give you directions about 10 minutes from here. And one of the sons lives in that particular house. As the serendipity of this continues, because we go down the road, not only does one of the sons live there, he's home. Not only is he home, he's sitting in the front yard.
During their visit to the home, Marty and Leah also learned that one of the hidden survivors is still alive.
Shula lives in Israel, Haifa, Israel. Well, it turns out we already had a trip planned for Haifa, Israel. So late April 2010, in person, we met Shula Schwartz. She just turned 86 now. Wonderful, wonderful.
As Marty and I continue to talk about his journey through the past, it becomes clear that Marty has a deep personal connection to this incredible story.
Among the 2 dozen plus Jews that the Weinachers say, they took in 3 children first. Shula was one of those. Then they took in this young married couple. And after the couple had settled in, the wife had a secret she couldn't keep secret any longer. She was pregnant. And that is near impossible for them to have to deal with, because this is Nazi Germany occupation. You can't go to the local hospital and have the birth done. Right. So this was near impossible. In fact, one of their options was send her away. But Franz and Mien decided they would deal with it, not knowing how they're going to deal with it initially. But they pulled off a major strategy to deal with it, and that couple's agreed with the strategy. In the end, just to keep this, give you a little spice of it, they performed a miracle, and they got that baby born.
Wow.
A little over 7 years ago, I get to call that baby my wife.
Nuh-uh. Are you serious right now?
I'm very serious.
Oh my goodness. So your wife was one of the people saved.
Bingo.
I'm sure you can see why Marty was compelled to turn this story into a book. But that would be only the first part of his journey. While traveling around and speaking about the book, Marty is often asked about turning the book into a full-blown motion picture. And that is why he is in Northern Nevada, and the second phase of his journey is just beginning.
I've had audiences suggest to me for over 2 years, you ever thought about getting this made into a movie? And through one audience where that happened, this gentleman that was there He later talks to me about that, and he connects me to his daughter, who at one time was a mentee of somebody named Tony Suddy.
I would think that it would be really exciting to have the ability to place our local talent here in a project that's clearly going to be so amazing as this one. That must give you a really good feeling.
That's actually a passion. I mean, I love finding the celebrity talent and doing the negotiations, but I absolutely adore getting the opportunity to see people's dreams come true, and within our community, seeing them be able to, cross off on the bucket list, being on projects such as this. So yes, our community is definitely going to be blessed, hopefully, by many of these kinds of projects this year.
And I would imagine that you probably have talent at all different levels. You have,
I do.
People who woke up one day and they were 45 and they said, oh, you know what, I think I want to try to get into movies, and they don't have any past experience. And then you have other people that maybe have been working for many years on their trade.
Yeah, I have them at all levels, and all ages, and all ethnicities, and personality types. And I think that's why I'm never bored of my job. But it's the new talent that I get to see do their very first project. That's so rewarding to me. Yeah, it's exciting. I think if you're interested in a part-time career doing some acting, and you don't know how to go about it, give us a call. I'd love to be able to, give our community or whomever an opportunity to at least be an extra and see what it's like to be on film. And if it's something they enjoy, then maybe we can move on from there.
Yeah, so you don't really have to choose it as a full-time career. You can just have a little bit of fun with it. You can really do it as little or as much as you want. You could do it for fun, or you can do it for a career.
I would say 99% of the talent work part-time doing this business in our community. It's different in LA and big markets, but yeah, you do this for fun, you make some extra money, and have a new adventure.
Along the way, through others I'm starting to meet in the industry, as you're going to be talking shortly, I get introduced to this wonderful producer, Jessica Fushes, who says, "You've got such a compelling story. I want to really make something happen out of it."
As a producer, why did you decide to pick up this story?
It's a wonderful interfaith story about a Christian couple who is sacrificing their lives to save the Jews. And I just think that speaks volumes right there to a story that needs to be told, to really demonstrate what true love is all about for your fellow man. Secondly, I think it obviously helps us to remember the Holocaust, which is an event that we never need to forget. And that leads into my third reason, because as an international community, we need to remember the atrocities that can occur when we become indifferent to other people's plight. We need to know that if you see an injustice, you should stand up for others.
You should act.
Even if you're the only one to do that. And I think that's exactly the lesson that Franz and me will share with the world through this film. So that's what really drew me to the project.
We can all certainly understand why you were compelled to write the book, and how exciting that now you're working on an opportunity to turn this into, really a full major motion picture. You're not.
That's the idea.
This is not going to be a low budget film. This is going to be something equivalent to a Schindler's List, and that's very exciting. And we're thrilled that you're working with people here in Northern Nevada, and that you're considering our talent as well as our community. We hope that we make that final cut with you. But thank you so much for coming and sharing this with us. I hope everyone's convinced they need to read the book, and I'm certainly convinced that this is going to be a fantastic movie. So congratulations on everything that's happened so far.